Hey there, welcome back to another episode of AI After Hours. I'm your host, Katie Shive, and this is a podcast for you. My guess is you are learning AI sometime after your normal 8 to 5 job. And like everyone else, we're all trying to figure out how the heck to use it, apply it, and make it work. So if you have 10 minutes, I have one tip, idea, or tactic that I will share with you. So let's get into this week's episode. Now, I'm going to be real, as I always am, but I have been in an absolute content funk. Now, if you follow me on social, you might see my Instagram, it's already kind of sporadic. And even on LinkedIn, like I've been showing up on LinkedIn lately, and I'm like, I just feel bored. I feel a little bit uninspired. And that's not to say that everybody else's content is appearing that way. That really could be me. It's always a little bit of a moving target. But I've gotten in my head a little bit because, after all, I'm supposed to be this AI content strategist, and I feel like I should have the solutions. I should have great content to showcase how easy and how great it is so that you, my listeners, can follow along and be like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. Well, it's great in theory. But here's the thing, creating good content is actually not easy. Like, yes, AI has largely leveled the playing field. And for the most part, if you have some brain cells, you can put a decent prompt together and get a really good output. But that's the next problem. You scroll social media and everything is, I don't know if you notice this, but it feels like everything is starting to look really the same. You read posts, and for the most part, thankfully, people are getting over the chronic use of M dashes. Thank the Lord. But now we're into the it's not this, it's that framework, and the short, choppy sentences where it looks like, we're writing like we're talking, and, two sentences and then a paragraph break, whatever. So you look at this long form content and it just feels like, from a glance, that everybody has really good ideas. And now every post is some like awesome concept that we all have to learn. Now, again, hang with me. I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, because I think in part, we're all sincerely trying to write good content, and everybody has a journey and we're all figuring it out. So I actually have a lot of grace and a lot of like understanding for, like, we're all learning here. But for me personally, I'm looking at social media and I'm just bored. And then I put a lot of pressure on myself also, because I feel like if somebody's going to take the time to look at my content, like, I want it to be valuable. I want them to leave feeling like they actually learned something and not just like I wasted 3 minutes of their day. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to create good content. Now, I think in some ways that's good, but in other ways it's probably unnecessary. But here's the thing, I'm just feeling bored. So if you're in the same boat as me and you're feeling bored, uninspired, fill in the blank, you're not alone. Also, drop me a comment and let me know you're with me so I'm not crazy. But it got me thinking, before AI and everything was polished and good, like there were different iterations, right? Here's the thing, AI isn't going anywhere. So if you've had your head in the sand, get it out of the sand and start using it, because it's only going to accelerate. But it kind of feels like when I go onto social media now, I'm looking at, do you guys remember MySpace? And when you could add like a custom picture to your background, and you could add, some music, like when they landed on your page, and you could customize your top 10 friends, everybody had Tom. Anyways, you get onto your MySpace page and you're just distracted because you're like, I don't know if I'm looking at the background picture. I don't know if I'm looking at the music. Like, what am I focusing on? And that is kind of how a lot of social media feels right now. Like, there's just so much noise. And not to mention, if you're going over to platforms like Instagram, the grids are perfect. Everybody's got beautiful photos and our content aesthetics are right. And again, as a brand strategist, like, I love to see that. I love to see a cohesive brand when it all comes together. Like, it is powerful. However, now it can also be really hard to tell what is reality because you could go make, generated images, generated video, generated voice, generated text. I mean, it goes on and on. So, where is that filter for reality versus, everything was like factory made? That's why I believe that hyper polished, really produced, perfectly curated content is actually going to start hurting your brand. Because at the end of the day, if you were to hop on a call with me on Zoom, I am going to have some ums and stutters and ifs, some pauses, hesitations. I'm going to have body language and I'm going to emote feeling and, sounds because that's what humans do. We're not, we're talking and recording in real time and not just perfectly scrubbing things afterwards. So if you're like me and you're trying to build a personal brand that builds trust, which if you're not doing that, I don't know what you're doing, but the goal of all of your content should be to build trust, credibility. It should be so that people can have an inside kind of peek at who are you and what makes you tick. Then your content actually is going to perform better if it's not perfectly polished and curated. So that leads me to my next thought. So, yesterday, I had the privilege of speaking with Geoff Zimpfer's community over at My Agent Classes. Now, if you don't know Geoff, if you've never heard of his community, I'll make sure to link it in the show notes. It is literally an incredible community out there serving the loan officer space. And there's probably some realtors in there as well. But he does done for you classes and courses so that you literally can take the whole kit and caboodle is there, and you can go teach classes to realtor partners and other referral partners. Now, so he had me come in and guest present talking about AI. And I have a new kind of angle or tool that I've been using for prospecting, which, by the way, is so rad. So if you're curious what that is, I'm not going to give it away on this episode, but you can send me a DM and I will send you the tool that I'm using to do that. So just take me up on that. Okay. Now, so I was speaking to his community and we were talking about agent classes and we were talking about the power of AI. And I literally looked at everybody in the community and I said, if I were you and I were sitting in your seat and I was a loan officer or I was service based in any capacity in 2026, I wholeheartedly would double down on events. That would be one of my primary levers that I would be pulling as a strategy to grow my business. Now, why? Well, for the very reason that AI is making your brand so polished, so perfect, and people are starting to tone out. Think about it. When we go on here and we start scrolling through and everything is just like, like our attention spans are dwindling, what have you. But people are craving in-person connection. Now, again, we've been, stuck indoors or at home for years during COVID, some longer than others. And then, now everything's virtual or hybrid. And there are tons of people that still are completely just working from home and they're living behind screens and everything they do is Zoom. So people are actually craving connection. And the power of events is when you can get toe to toe in a room with people and you can see their body language, people are more likely to ask questions in real time than putting it in a chat box. People are you're gonna be able to read body language. You're gonna be able to connect with them, ask questions, build rapport, all of the things that just don't happen in the same way or as quickly offline. The other part is people have really short attention spans. And let's be honest, no one wants to take another e-course and sit behind screens even longer to go learn X, Y, and Z. I personally would much rather show up to an event that is being taught live for an hour than sit behind a screen and doom scroll one screen and try to pretend and pay attention on another. So, hear me out. If you're listening to this, yes, AI is important. I know this is a little bit of an unconventional episode because this isn't like a traditional one tip hack. It's more of a mindset. But if I could encourage you with one thing, as you are leveling in and investing in your personal brand, and you're trying to figure out what's your niche and how do you use AI, yes, you need content. Yes, AI is powerful. And yes, that is not going to go away. It's actually only going to intensify. So the first take is when you create content, you have to be really good at creating content. Don't just spray and pray the, 3 reasons why you should move posts. Now, most people are, for the most part, beyond that, but hear me out. Like you have to be good at the content that you're creating to capture the attention and then to connect. The second part is do events. If you're talking about AI, if you're sitting here listening to this and you're like trying to learn about AI, host a class on AI. Geoff has great resources. Another wonderful community that does classes, First Home IQ. They have done for you classes that speak to realtor partners, referrals as well. And they're targeting how to help you host classes for first time homebuyers and next gen homebuyers. So it's another great tool. If you want to teach classes on AI and have community and conversations around that, then host a class and say like, hey, let's lunch and learn. Like, I know that's kind of an old school phrase, but like, let's actually learn together because I don't know everything. So like, let's collaborate and learn. So like show up to the class prepared, but lead the class. Now, if you don't know what to say and you want to connect with me and maybe bring me in to help teach a class, let's have a conversation about that. I love teaching. I'd love to like collaborate with you on that. But the point of what I'm trying to drive home today is lean into AI, but double down on communities. Double down on events in 2026. More than ever, I guarantee you, people are craving connection. They're craving in-person events. And now more than ever, you have the tools with AI to learn, to even put courses together or whatever the content is, and then go teach it. So that is my advice. And here's my charge to you. Put at least one event on the books in the next quarter. Like, listen to this podcast. When you're done, brainstorm. What's one topic that I can talk about? What's one thing that I can host with my agents, with my referral partners, with my audience? How can I do something in person? You don't have to do the boring traditional, bring donuts and like go meet in the back room and like have a boring, death by PowerPoint event. It's not at all what I'm saying. Like there's so many cool ways that you can connect around events. You could literally do like, fit like a fitness class. You could do like so many cool things that aren't just a stereotypical lunch and learn. So my one take is double down on events, book something in the next 12 weeks, go book something on your calendar. If it can, make it in person because you're always going to get better connection in person. But if you can't, or if you're still just needing to start somewhere, book it on Zoom with a goal to be leading into in-person events. I guarantee you events are still going to help you grow your business and move the needle. So that's what I have for you this week. I know it's a little bit unconventional, like I said, but as people are getting bored and we're just scrolling through the same old things, we are going to constantly have to find new ways to cut through that noise, get attention. And, believe it or not, like the oldies and goodies, they still work. So that's what I have for you. Thanks for listening. And I will see you next episode.